still Hustle Daily. What's going on, Hustle Nation? Welcome back to another video. It's your boy Ray. Big play. And I got me some food I'm going to eat right here today. We got a story time, all right? A famous TikTok star and her best friend's husband has been having an affair for a year, and now this song hits different. Okay, we about to go ahead and get into the story time. Smash that like button before we go ahead and get it started. It looks just like this, and let's go ahead and get right into it. So, in the song she's talking about is this song.
Okay guys, you want a story time? Let's do it. I do just want to start off by saying that obviously this video really blew up, got a lot of attention, and there are people who want us to stop. They don't want us to put this information out there. Obviously people are hiding. While I get it, the story must be shared. However, we did hear that the other woman in this story has received over 1,000 death threats, and I just want to make that clear on Kristen and I's behalf that we do not in any way, shape, or form wish death on either one of them. That's just not the goal here. I'm simply just sharing the truth, seeking a little bit of justice. So here we go. A couple of years ago, Kristen and her husband and daughter sold all of their things and renovated a bus to live in and traveled all over the country. They had a pretty big following on YouTube, Instagram. TikTok was getting there. It was under #1 bus, which since all of this has been deleted. Last summer, they decided to meet up with a married couple and a single guy who also lived in a bus, and they traveled around together, stayed on the same property as each other for 3 months. One of their first videos that they posted all together, my friend, her husband, as well as the other woman and the other woman's husband, I right away noticed some weird chemistry between my best friend's husband and the other woman who was married. However, I did just make a note of it, didn't think too far into it, and moved on. Right around September of last year, my best friend called me and she said, "How much time do you have? And if you have a best friend, you all know what that means." She then proceeded to say how her husband was starting unnecessary fights and he was hanging out at the other buses really late at night. And she then was led to go through his text messages and found some stuff deleted in the thread with the other woman. There was nothing set in stone, but you could tell parts of the conversation were missing, and even the stuff that was left up was extremely inappropriate. You could definitely tell that there was either something that had happened or was going to happen. Either way, Kristen was really upset. She confided in her husband and the other woman, who she thought was her friend, and both conveniently had the same story. The story was that the other woman had confided in Kristen's husband about the ways that she was upset with Kristen, and she didn't want Kristen to see what she had said about her. And that's where we're going to run out. They both swore up and down nothing was going on, that she was looking too far into it, but ultimately Kristen had decided that it was best to leave this group, go back home to Florida, and try to work on things and fix her marriage. At this point, she was really angry. She did feel like the trust was broken, even though she couldn't really find any evidence. Even just them having this kind of relationship, she just felt like he broke her trust. So they started therapy, and that's when Kristen really just went back and forth. She obviously loved this person and she wanted to try to work it out. She couldn't find any evidence that he had actually cheated. They were both sticking to the same story. And even though she was really upset, she decided to change her mindset and her approach on the situation and love her husband more than she's ever had. She started reading books on how to get through things like this. She even started going to church, okay? She was hurting, but trying to go within and be better because of it in hopes that her marriage could grow. However, there was still some things that were just not adding up, and this time her husband started taking a lot of work trips. He didn't want to do therapy anymore, and she was just not feeling like he was a husband who was showing up, really wanting to work on his marriage, so she tried to leave. He begged and pleaded for her to stay, for them to work things out, and so she ended up going back and really tried to let it all go and not think about it anymore. Not me though. I started noticing on the other woman's TikTok that she was no longer married. The page wasn't about her and her husband anymore. It was just about her and her 3 dogs. And I started noticing that she was posting in Florida. She then posted a TikTok wearing the my best friend's husband's shirt, and it really just popped the whole thing off. Let's just say I put on my FBI badge and the investigation officially began. People were commenting on her post saying, "Are you in this town? I know where that is." And it was the same town that my best friend and her husband were living in at the time. Not only that, but a lot of her posts that she was making, which of course, since all of this has come out, she has deleted almost everything on her page with her face or her personally, and it's just now about her and her dogs. However, at the time, she was posting pretty often, and a lot of her posts were almost identical to things that Kristen was posting. So I started looking into this girl code psychology of why she was posting stuff like this. Either she was sending a public message to Kristen to let her know, giving her hints, or she just gave absolutely 0 fucks. The real kicker in the whole situation was that with her bus page, she created this sort of outlook on her life that she was living her best life with her 3 dogs, traveling solo, and having the best time of her life. Obviously, Kristen and I both saw these, and we just could not figure out why she would be posting things like this. Even though there were some things that we just didn't have answers to, her and her husband at the time, so she thought, were in a really good place. He had kind of sort of convinced her that their marriage was better than ever and that they were more in love than ever. And the things that he did in this time, you would have also thought they were more in love than ever. Because of that, she just said, "I'm not going to look at this girl's stuff anymore. It's not good for me. I have to move on." And that's when the universe stepped in. In June, she posted a video for a plastic-free July, and the company that she was talking about reached out to her, asked her if they could post it and if she would send it to them through the WhatsApp. She didn't have the WhatsApp, so she went on her husband's phone and realized that his cellular data was turned off. She turned it back on and immediately got a notification, opened the WhatsApp, and this is when she found the message from the other woman. Get ready to pause so you can read.
Ah, damn, it was so fast.
At this point,
Damn it. All right, let's see.
So you can read.
All right, we got it. It says, "I miss you. I know I've said it a million times, but I can't wait for the day we get back together. I feel like that will be the day I can finally relax and breathe again. Try calling. I'm in Sheba with little service. But as soon as I get out, you can FaceTime. I want to see your face."
At this point, it was 9 months of investigation. No evidence, obviously. Kristen was tracking his location and all of his texts and phone calls, and she couldn't find anything in 9 months. Kristen immediately called the other woman, FaceTimed the other woman from his phone. When she answered, she saw that it was Kristen. She immediately hung up. Kristen then called back, and the first thing that the other woman said is, "What do you want?" Kristen said, "I just want the truth. Please just tell me the truth." And the other woman asked if they could meet up, and that's when we learned that she was conveniently staying 10 to 15 minutes away from where their bus was parked since January. Mind you, this was June. Once the other woman had learned that my best friend's husband was clearly lying to her, the stories weren't matching, the things that he was telling her just weren't the truth. The other woman had told Kristen that her husband had said that he was going to leave her in the fall, that they hadn't been intimate in over a year, and that he wasn't in love with her anymore, and just all of it was the furthest thing from the truth. She then proceeded to say that they had started having an affair 2 weeks into their travel last summer. And were having an affair the entire time they were traveling together. They cut off the affair once my best friend and him moved back to Florida, and he ended up reaching back out to the other woman through Spotify, and they picked back up with the affair in January, and that's why she moved down to Florida. At this point, the other woman...
You can message people on Spotify? That's crazy.
...is freaking out because she's just finding out that her boyfriend is a liar. Whereas my best friend had felt like a prisoner for a year. She was made to believe that she was crazy. She was told things like, you're just never gonna get through this. I didn't do anything. I swear on everything. I never did it. And for a while, she started to believe that maybe it was all in her head. So as you can imagine, getting the truth, she just finally was at so much peace. The other woman, however, started absolutely freaking out. This is when she started sharing a lot of details in hopes to hurt Kristen, which just was absolutely mind-blowing to me. I will not be sharing those details. I will leave that up to Kristen if she wants to share it, but just know they're extremely disturbing. After that, Kristen decided to bring the other one back to the bus. So they drove back to confront her husband, and my friend ultimately decided to leave and take her daughter to a safe place and left the two alone to talk. And this is when she called me. She had sent me that screenshot of the conversation right away before she went to go meet up with her, and I had her location, and I was just kind of keeping tabs on her, making sure that she was okay while they were meeting. So by the time that she called me, obviously I was upset, I was crying, I was pissed. 9 months of investigation and 9 months of just putting my best friend through kind of a psych ward. Like, she literally felt like she was insane. She was made to believe that she could not trust her intuition, and that just don't sit right with me. The other woman did, however, go right up to the husband and ask, how could you lie to me? You said A, B, C, and it's just not the truth. And there was this huge standoff, and it was just messy. After she called me, obviously the first thing that I wanted to know is, why was she the one that left them there to talk? Like, the other woman was acting like she was the wife, that she was the one that felt betrayed and lied to, and it was just kind of insane. However, Kristen at this point immediately started crying, which I have not seen her do in quite some time, and just said, because I'm done. I'm just done. And just trying to imagine how she must have felt in that moment after a year of just feeling like she was absolutely insane. And within moments, her entire life was changing. There were friends keeping an eye on the husband and the other woman while they were talking, and said that they just seemed like they were fighting, and the other woman was really upset. We later learned that their conversation ended with the husband promising the other woman that he was going to work on himself in hopes that they could be together again. And then he came right into the bus, called Kristen, saying that he wanted to be with Kristen and was crying and wanted to make things work with her. Obviously, the two women shared that story with each other, and the other woman became even more upset. During this time, I was seeing red. My friend was trying to come from this as an approach of, I am not going to let this take me down. I'm going to stay strong. And that's when I pretty much just grabbed the wrath by the reins and took to her account and commented as many comments as I could, trying to expose the story. What bothered me the most was this fake persona that she was putting on with her almost 3 million followers on TikTok, that she was living this great life, all while in reality she was hiding out 10 to 15 minutes away from her married boyfriend's bus, and it just didn't sit right. Not only that, but throughout the whole meeting and even after they met up and she was talking with the husband, the entire time she played the victim. She wanted people to feel bad for her, including Kristen. She was confiding in Kristen like she had found out that her boyfriend was cheating on her, and just all of it was absolutely insane. Ultimately, there was absolutely no remorse on this other woman's end. It didn't feel like she was really sorry. It didn't feel like it was a time for her to come clean and say that she was, sorry. It was more about, oh my God, I can't believe that I just caught my married boyfriend in a lie. After everything happened, my best friend did leave her husband, and she and her daughter are staying with a couple of friends who opened their home up to her, not too far from where their bus was parked. I did learn on Thursday that the other woman is still parked in the same place. She has not left, and that's really just what put some fire up in my ass to post that video on Thursday. I will say that I do not agree with the cancel culture. I agree with allowing people to make mistakes and coming out in front of everyone, admitting what they did wrong, and choosing to change their character and their behavior because of it. However, this is just, in my opinion, we're never going to get that from either one of these participants. And my little man woke up, so it's time for me to wrap this up. I do just want to say that none of this was for me to gain followers. I'm really not that interesting.
All right, guys. Man, that girl know that man married. She wanted to be with him. She probably still want to be with him. That's why her bus didn't leave. Shit, shout out to Kristen for leaving, you know what I'm saying? And shit, that's all I can say, man. My boy was trying to juggle both of them, you know what I'm talking about? Like, shit, same shit. That's what niggas do, you know what I'm saying? This shit ain't nothing new, you know what I'm saying? So, but, hey, I wish everybody the best, and hopefully they get their marriage. Hey, maybe they can work it out. You never know, but I don't think they're working that shit out because they tried to work it out one time. But hey, my boy got caught. What can we say? My boy got fucking caught. It is what it is. Shout out to the Hustle Nation. I appreciate y'all. Smash that like button, and I love y'all, and I will catch y'all on the next one. Well, I was gonna tell y'all smash the like button, right? And then I was gonna say peace. All right, peace.